Welcome back to Domestic Dad Cleaning Up the Mess. Today's episode is for every man who's ever looked in the mirror and known something has to change. Joining me today is Nick Kuhle, a former teacher turned full-time executive health and performance coach and owner of Kool, whose story is all about the connection between healing your body, renewing your mind, and stepping fully into the role of father, husband, and leader. What started with fatigue, hormonal imbalance, and chronic inflammation became a wake-up call, a moment that forced Nick to ask, am I really living or just surviving? In this episode, we get into the real stuff, why so many men trade one addiction for another after sobriety, why your cravings are more emotional than physical, and how small changes in sleep, hydration, and food can transform your entire life and your legacy. We talk fatherhood, faith, language, and the belief that the most powerful thing you can do is bet on yourself. If you're tired of feeling stuck mentally, emotionally, or physically, this episode is your permission slip to start again, to stop waiting, to take that next right step. So get ready, because this conversation with Nick Kuhle isn't just about getting healthy. It's about becoming whole. So grab a mop, because today we're cleaning up the mess. Before we dive into today's episode, I wanted to take a moment to let you guys know that Domestic Dad Project is more than just a podcast. It's a nonprofit organization dedicated to helping fathers navigate sobriety, parenting, and personal growth. Our mission is to provide support, resources, and community for dads who want to break cycles, rebuild lives, and become the men their families need. If you'd like to support our work and help us continue to reach more fathers in need, consider donating at domesticdadproject.com. Every contribution helps us expand our programs and change more lives. So just wanted to thank you guys in advance for being part of this mission. Now, let's get into the episode. Has life gotten off track? Are you looking for some inspiration to be a better dad? People say all the time, I'd die for my kids. Okay. But would you live for them? Actually live? Get yourself healthy? Make better choices? Eliminate distractions? Would you lead them more intentionally? Would you get sober? Take better care of yourself, physically and mentally. You'd only have to die once. Your kids don't need you to die for them. They need you to live. Have you thought about getting sober, but you just didn't know where to start? If so, welcome to the Domestic Dad Podcast, your go-to destination for candid discussions on journeys into sobriety, parenting, and personal growth. I'm Nick Barnett, founder of the Domestic Dad Project. I've been a dad since I was 18 years old. I'm also a trauma survivor, an alcoholic, divorced, happily remarried, hardworking, humbled by life, domestic dad. On this podcast, you'll find interviews with people who have walked that path, including myself, coaches, mentors, and pastors who can help guide you on your journey. You're going to need resources and inspiration. You can find that here. This is the community for you to lean into, so you can start living life as a domestic dad. So let's grab a mop and start cleaning up the mess. Yeah, all right. Okay, Nick Kuhle. All right, man. So one of the ways that I open this podcast is, and you'll hear it in the intro, would you die for your kids? The answer better be yes, right? That's easy, though. Would you live for your kids? And what does that mean, right? Would you get yourself healthy? Would you get sober? Would you become a better parent? But I think today what I want to focus on is, would you get healthy? Because you are a health coach.
Correct.
Yeah. So where did Nick Kuhle come from?
Nick Kuhle. You want the long story?
Yeah.
I'll give you a shorter version. We can dive into anything that you want to.
Yeah.
Born and raised Dubuque, Iowa. Excuse me. Had like a really good childhood. Grew up, both my parents still together, still love one another. Went to high school, didn't really know what I wanted to do. My cousin, for anyone that's familiar with Dubuque, he was like the coolest high school teacher. I had him as a high school teacher. So my cousin was my teacher. So I went to college, was like, I'm just going to teach. Got a degree in teaching. I was teaching, I think I taught for 9 or 10 years. About 2 years in, I was like, not doing this the rest of my life. Like, there was a seed planted. I don't know where it came from, but I was like, I'm not going to teach my entire life.
Yeah.
Fast forward a couple years into teaching. So I was probably 4 or 5 years into teaching, and I had, Nick, what I would say is the best, worst experience of my life. I got super, we'll just say ill, not ill and like bedridden or anything like that, but I was not having bowel movements for 4 or 5 days on end. My testosterone was equivalent to an 80-year-old man, if I remember correctly. Like no energy, no libido. And I was like, I need a change. Like, what the hell am I doing?
Yeah.
And there was, excuse me, told you that little chuckle in my throat. There was a period of time, or there was one moment in time where I went to the doctors and the doctor was like, you need to be on hormone replacement therapy.
Whoa.
Because my hormones were so tanked. And I was like, okay, like, what is that? Gave me some gel. And on the back of the label of the gel, it's like, don't come in contact with females or young children. They can go through early onset puberty. They can grow hair in weird places. That was my aha moment. I was like, dude, I'm 25 years old, 24 years old. Like, what am I doing? I'm not putting this stuff on my body. And that was like the push that I needed to get into figuring out my own health.
Yeah.
So from there, went the functional medicine route, took out a loan for, I think, $6,000-$7,000 because I didn't have the cash on hand to pay for it. Made very little progress, unfortunately, with that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, okay, like these are supposed to be experts. Long story short, I went in, did a lot of coaching through the Czech Institute of Holistic Health out of California. I give my life to that institute. Paul Czech, if you guys have never heard of him, the dude is a genius. I think it was a couple of years ago, he was ranked number 2 most influential men in all of health and fitness to Arnold Schwarzenegger. But Arnold Schwarzenegger's got like all the movies and stuff that he's done. So got myself healthy through that. And from there, it's been like, dude, I can help more people out. Got out of teaching, got into coaching. And that's what I do full time now, brother.
Yeah. So you had the background in coaching and teaching. Like you grew, like that's where you became like a pro, right? So you're a pro teacher.
I needed that to be where I am today.
Yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. That's awesome. So, yeah. The 1-2 punch, if you will. Yeah. Good, man. Good. So, one of the things that I experienced when I decided to get sober was I replaced one addiction for the other. And I think like just to hit this right on the head right away, like how do we do this? You know what I mean? Because here's my story with health. I got so I was terrible health. Like I was a raging alcoholic for the better part of my life. I would work out occasionally. But when I got sober, like I wanted to replace my alcohol addiction with like a food addiction. Mm-hmm. And I did. It was sugar. It was snacks. It was all this stuff. And while I was starting to feel more clear internally, it wasn't until like I got like family pictures. Me and Gabby and the kids went out to like, I don't know, wherever it is out in Cedar Falls at that park. And we got something like that. And it was, we got the pictures back and I'm looking at these beautiful pictures that we paid a bunch of money for. And I'm like, dude, I am fat and bloated.
Just inflamed.
Yes. Yep. Just puffy. Now, not as puffy as I was with the alcohol, but still puffy. Right. And I'm like, I got to do something about this. So I started running. I started walking. I just started going for walks every day, which is super healthy for you anyways. Just movement in general was I feel good for me, but then it turned into jogs and then it turned into runs and then it turned into actually going to the gym. But that lasted for about a summer. And then, I think my leg got like my knee was hurting me and like I probably overextended myself a little bit.
Probably.
Yeah. And then you fall off again and I'm back to square one. So like, what's your plan or what's your advice for people that just are starting off in their fitness journey, that are starting off in their health journey? Like, where do you start?
Yeah. Can I throw something else out there first? So here's like, when I'm working with people in coaching, I think about this as like an equilateral triangle upside down. At the very bottom, you got your action items, like eating healthy foods, going for walks, like staying hydrated, sleeping, nourishing yourself, doing all those things. Above that, you have this, we'll say this row in the triangle. The triangle is broken in 3 sections. It's all about emotions and your behaviors. Your emotions and your behaviors are going to drive your actions. Easy way to think about this. People go through a breakup. they eat a pint of Haagen-Dazs ice cream.
Yeah.
So simple. Like we've all been there. Guys, girls, doesn't matter. Like it's like, oh, dude, she was the one. I was 17. Above, right? All guys have been there. They've had that love or 2 or 3. But then you go a row above that, the top of that triangle. It is your thoughts, your beliefs, your perspectives. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your perspectives are going to drive your emotions and your behaviors, which drive your actions. So individuals, from my approach and how I would coach, is like, if there's addictions going on, I would look at the beliefs, the perspectives, the stories that we are telling ourselves. There's a part there that is out of balance, that is leading to the emotions and then the actions that they're choosing. Those actions are not supporting them in their overall dream. So in that case, cool. What's going on? Where's the disconnect? What are they telling themselves? What's not true? Most of us have these stories like, I'm not good enough. I look like shit. Like I'm overweight, or no one's going to love me. And they're just flat out not true.
Yeah.
So going back to your original question, like, where do people start? It's first off, it starts with why. Like, why? Why do you want to change? Why do you want to get healthy? If you don't have a good why, you don't have a dream or your metaphorical North Star, you're not going to stick to anything. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
You have to align passion with purpose, right?
100%. You have to. So in my coaching, there's a lot of like figuring out like, what is it? What motivates you? Why do you want to do it? If you want to do it for your kids, awesome. I would love for you to do it for yourself. But if we got to start with the kids, by all means, then I would say you got to take care of your diet and your lifestyle. There's no way around that. And I want to be very clear with all of your listeners. You cannot out supplement a bad diet, a bad sleep schedule, a bad hydration. Like you can't do it. And so you have to start there with the fundamentals. Like it's the foundation of anything. You can't build a house unless you get the foundation poured. So,
yeah. So sleep schedule.
Yeah. Just like
hydration.
Sleep, hydration, movement, nutrition, your breathing. Your breathing plays a huge role in things. We take 25,900 breaths a day. If you can't breathe properly, I will guarantee you're going to be a heck of a lot more anxious. You're going to be upregulated, which is then going to impact your sleep. And if your sleep is off, you got kids, right?
Yep.
What happens if your kids get poor sleep?
Well, they become little monsters.
100%.
I don't know if I want to say little monsters, but they have an attitude. They're less tolerant. They're not who
they're irritable.
Yeah, they're irritable. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
They're quick to like lash out and like
whine and cry. And, yes.
We as adults are the exact same.
Yeah.
Like we do the exact same thing as children when we don't get good sleep. But how many people actually prioritize sleep? And I'm going to say cultural to a degree, because we're in this realm where it's like, do more, do more, do more. You're not doing enough. Especially my moms out there. If there's any moms listening, you guys like really need to set some boundaries, learn to say no, because you will get sucked into this trap where you will do everything for work. You'll do everything for your family and then your kids. And then you get what's left, and which is absolutely.
Yeah. You've emptied your tank on everything else.
There's like a small slice of that pie left, if any slice at all.
Yeah.
So going back, like eat well, drink well, sleep well, move well. And it doesn't have to be difficult. It really doesn't.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think are the biggest challenges that hang people up when they want to get healthy? Like where do you see people fail?
Great question. I will say this. This is the theme or the comment that has come up most in the last 8 years of coaching or whatever it's been. I thought I was eating healthy.
Yeah, I bought the yellow pasta, right? Like I bought the yellow box pasta, the protein pasta. That's not healthy.
No, not at all.
Okay.
Like, do you want to dive into that? You want to?
Yeah, let's go.
Okay, so do you even know what's it made of?
Well, it says on the box, it says protein on it, right?
Yeah. Like, so that's marketing right there. They're trying to sell you on the protein. Yes, there's how many grams of protein, 8 grams of protein, or whatever. They also don't tell you that there's probably 56 grams of carbohydrates that are ultra processed, ultra refined. That's going to spike your blood sugar like it's pure sugar. That's going to have a detrimental effect that has virtually no nutrition in it.
Yeah.
Like if you go buy white flour, like enriched flour, you ever seen that before? Mm-hmm. Like they can't legally sell it unless they put vitamins and minerals back into it, which are all synthetic based, which come from petroleum, because it's a dead food. And so when you're getting pastas and low quality food like that, I want you to think about it like your cells are turning over you'll be a brand new person in 1 year from now. Every single cell in your body will be brand new. Like, what do you want that made of? That's like my first question.
Ooh, that's good.
Like, do you want your body? Do you want your liver cells? Do you want your eye cells? Do you want your skin, your hair to be made up of cherry Coke and Cheerios? No, I hope the answer is no.
Yeah.
So the pasta, probably some type of flour. Okay. And I'm not harping on people if you eat this. Like, there's no judgment here. Like, I don't care what you do. I really don't. Like, the least judgmental person. And there's so many people. It's funny. So many people are like, oh, dude, Nick, you're not going to like what I ate today. I'm like, no, I really don't care. Like, eat what you want, but I'm going to show you how your body feels when you eat this way.
Yeah.
So you got highly processed grains. They're all going to be genetically modified. They're all going to be sprayed with glyphosate. You're probably going to have some other pesticides and herbicides. Glyphosate messes your gut up. Like, it does nothing good. It was patented as an antibiotic. I don't even know how long ago. So it wipes out your gut, creates leaky gut. If anyone's ever heard of leaky gut, which causes more food sensitivities, it's going to cause inflammation to a very large degree. Whereas you went out and you had like sweet potatoes or you had spaghetti squash or something that's more of a real food, that's still a single ingredient food, it's going to serve you 10 times better. Because I don't even care about the protein at that point in time. Like, the doesn't outweigh the negatives, in my opinion. Once again, this is all from love. This is no judgment.
Man, dude, it's wild because like you had to have gone through like some real like education on how to like figure all this stuff out, and there had to have been some things that happened along the way for you to like realize all of this stuff.
It's yeah. There's a lot of education. So like a typical medical doctor, I think it's maybe a half a semester or something like that on nutrition. And I've probably spent the last 8 years off and on throughout, like diving into nutrition and quality and other things that they put into it. So there is a lot of background there. Forgot your original question though.
I don't remember it.
Yeah.
It's okay. We went down a rabbit hole. We were going. We were like, you want to talk about pasta?
Let's dive into pasta. But no, let's go this route. It's from a general standpoint, pasta's super cheap. It's very simple to make. Like, it's easy for busy moms. Throw it in the boiling water and it's ready in 15 minutes. Throw some salsa on top of it or whatever. Like, you got a meal. That's the challenge. Like, when individuals are looking to get healthy, there has to be some prioritization and there has to be some focus on quality. I come from it from the standpoint, which is probably different than a lot of people, especially in the people in the gym industry. I don't care about quality or quantity. I don't care about how many calories you are eating. I care about the quality of food that you are having. Quality to me is king. If you eat quality food, you're going to satiate your body. You're going to feel nourished. You're going to have long-lasting energy. Whereas if you go and you have, all right, I'm going to have this protein bar that comes in a wrapper that has 40 grams of protein in it, and it's also got a bunch of other garbage in it, you'll probably be hungry an hour and a half later.
Yeah.
And then what are you going to then?
Yeah.
And then you're going to some more junk food, or then you get low blood sugar. Then you're just like, oh, those M&Ms look good. Whereas if I can get my clients to eat good quality food, like anything, I always say pick, pulled, caught, slaughtered. So you can pick berries from the tree. You can pull carrots from the ground. You can catch fish. You can slaughter animals. Or if you can minimally process it in your kitchen, like if you can buy the whole ingredients and make it yourself, you're going to be leaps and bounds ahead of every single person out there. You'll probably be in the top 5% of healthiest individuals.
Yeah.
And if we look at statistically, what is it, like 70% of the population is overweight and obese? I think it's pretty close to around 70% of those individuals over like 25 are on multiple medications.
Mm-hmm.
So I think we're in a difficult space with our health as a society. And that's like what I want to do, is bring health back to people.
I do too, man. And I think especially when it comes to, I don't want to go too far down like any type of political rabbit hole or anything, but I do think that the food that we're eating is causing us some mental strain. Some like what we're putting in our bodies is coming out in a way that like, again, I don't want to get all political about it, but like it's more of a, like the mental health aspect of the effects of what we're eating is huge today. confession, health coach.
Let's hear it.
I haven't hired you yet, so I probably will right after this because I do need to do some work on myself. But confession, anyways. Like I grabbed a McDonald's. You know what I mean? Like
Good for you.
because I didn't want to go and make myself a meal. When I looked in my cupboards, I didn't have anything in there that I found like to be like I could eat that right now and I could be like I could satisfy myself real quick. So what do? I go, you know what? I'm going to run up to McDonald's. It's 2 blocks away. I can go up there. I can grab a steak bagel. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's delicious. But in an hour, I'm going to be lethargic and tired and just bogged down. I know I am. I'm almost planning on it. Like, how do I plan my next nap around because I eat that crap food or that shit food, you know, like that's literally where I'm at. And I know I need to start planning my meals more accordingly and getting ahead of myself and like doing some meal prep because I think that's super important.
Yeah. And there's like 8 things I want to add on to that. And I love it. Thank you for the confession.
Yeah.
I won't be able to remember all of them. So we'll start with the first one. When you eat a meal, you should be satiated. You should have good energy for 3 to 4 hours. So if you're eating a meal and you're getting tired an hour and a half later, congratulations. That's what you're eating. Like it's not because it's 12 p.m. It's not because it's 3 p.m. and you're short on caffeine. That has nothing to do with it.
Yep.
Food is more than just energy. It's energy and information. And a lot of people look at food as just energy. I'm going to eat this. It's got X amount of calories. I'm going to be good. No, that food also informs your body what it's doing. So a simple hack that you can do for any of the listeners is like today, I left my house at 8:00. I'm here. I probably won't get home till noon. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to be hungry. I went to the gym. I threw 3 beef sticks. Shout out to Nick Wallace at 1 Acre, Iowa. Hands down best beef sticks out there. And he's local to Iowa. So it's regenerative farming, all that. So I had that and I got an apple like that. It's going to hold me over it. Is it the best meal? No. Could I go to McDonald's and get something that's even worse? Absolutely.
Dude, do you know what I think when you say that? You're eating for fuel. You're not eating to satisfy a craving or to fill your body. You're eating for fuel.
That doesn't mean that I don't have cravings from time to time.
Yeah.
But those cravings are also very informative. And if you can start to listen, I want to step back. My whole goal when I coach people, I'm not telling them what to do. I want them to become their very own best doctor. If you become your own best doctor, Nick, like you don't need to go to doctors. A lot of these doctors don't even have degrees in like nutrition. They don't know. There's some really good ones, but there's also a lot of them that don't support them. And I see a lot of their patients. So where were we going with that? This is what happens, guys. When you work out and you push it hard, you get a cortisol response. Yeah. Cortisol has a memory wiping effect on you. So note to everyone, don't do podcasts after a workout because you get the cortisol going. And
I did mine at 4 a.m. this morning. So I was like, oh man, where were we going? Cut. We're going to restart this.
Shit, dude. I was like, I get on these tangents. Normally when I do podcasts, I have a notebook and I have notes so I can like remind myself. But that isn't a true thing with cortisol. What were we talking about? The simple hacks or taking care of yours. Okay, yeah. All right, you ready?
I'm ready.
Guys, we're just having a ball over here.
Yeah.
So one of the simple things that you can do, Nick, is always have meat defrosting in your fridge. It's the simplest thing that you can do. If you have meat defrosting in your fridge, you can cook that up in 3-4 minutes, and then you'll have some good quality food. Most people undereat protein anyways. So that's a simple hack that you can do. You want to dive into cravings?
Yeah, I do. Because cravings are a beast. Like that is something that I struggle with the most. And I think most people, like most normal people struggle with cravings, right?
Yeah, a lot of people have. Well, I mean, can I change your language here?
Yeah.
So if we go back to the thoughts, words, perspectives, I struggle with. What are you implying? Like that it's always a struggle. Like you're creating a struggle by saying I struggle with. Instead of I experience some cravings from time to time, it's a hell of a lot less of a burden on your shoulders.
Yeah.
So first
change the narrative. I got it.
Yeah, change the narrative. Change the narrative, change your perspective. What do you crave?
Cheese.
When do you crave it?
Most of the time. Cheese and like a juicy hamburger for me. That's my all time like go to is a juicy cheeseburger.
Okay, so let's go with cheese and then
Ground beef.
yeah, cheese and ground beef. I love that. I don't think the ground beef is too bad for you. Like eat it. Like if you're craving that, you're probably craving something savory. Your body needs it. So your body, there's multiple ways that cravings show up. One of the ways is like if you are missing the 5 flavors, what is it? Savory, salty, sweet, citrus, and umami. I think that's like more soy sauce.
Okay.
If I remember correctly. So if you're not getting all the flavor profile in your diet throughout the week, like you can create some cravings, but here's the catch. The body is terrible at telling you what you're craving. So most people just go to sugar.
Yeah.
Cheese is a little bit different. So there's morphinogenic compounds within cheese. So cutting cheese out, you can have, you know how like morphine's addicting? And there's just keep clicking the button to get more of it.
Yep.
Cheese can have that effect on individuals just from how, like what's in it. So cutting it out is more of a challenge. I will throw this out to the listeners. Through my practice, I'm going to say 70 to 80% of my clients do not do well with dairy. They're just not aware of it. And until we take it out of their diet and they put it back in, once their immune system calms down and they feel like better and they're more clear-headed and they don't have a bunch of mucus in their nose and their throat, they put dairy back in. Oh, like, why can't I breathe? Why am I snoring at night? Why am I waking my wife up or my husband up? And Nick's taking notes.
Taking notes on that.
And that comes from, I don't know how deep you want to go into this, the pasteurization and how they make milk.
Yeah.
So 6th grade science, when you pasteurize something, you heat it up to a high degree, but you kill off all the bacteria and the enzymes.
Remember I told you a couple summers ago, I started running and I started eating right. Dude, I did stop snoring. Like I totally did. Instead of milk, I had almond milk. Instead of like Colby Jack cheese around the house, I had just like cheddar, right? Like, so I don't know if it's different or whatever. You know, you're shaking your head. No.
Maybe a little bit.
Yeah. But like, yeah, no, but like the snoring stopped and my wife was very pleased with that. So like when you were like dairy causes I don't know why I wrote this, but dairy can cause some snoring. Like that's something that
yeah. So especially if you have dairy like closer to bedtime. So dairy tends to produce mucus a lot of times in the throat and the nose. So if you got kids out there and you're feeding them dairy and they like get nasally or they get that drip in their nose with your younger kids and you always got to wipe their nose.
Yeah.
Look for dairy. Take dairy out.
Yeah.
So with the cheese, that can be an addicting thing. I don't see many people do well on it. And that's because of the pasteurization. When you kill off the enzymes, your body can't break it down. It causes more stress at times. People think they're getting a lot of calcium from it. They're not. So those are 2 things with cravings, but can I throw one other thing in there from a more of a mental and emotional perspective? Are you craving the food or are you craving the experience that you get from the food? Or are you craving the experience of you getting to beat yourself up after you have the food that you shouldn't have had?
No, not the third one. I'd probably lean more towards the second one.
For you.
Yeah.
And just for all the listeners out there, there's people that feel really good when they get to beat themselves up. So those are 3 different pieces. It doesn't make logical sense. I completely understand that. But that does play a role as well.
Yeah.
So which one was it for you?
2.
Which was
it's not the food, it's the experience of eating the food.
That you get with it?
Yeah.
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 So how do you get that experience with something else?
Well, yeah, you just do the same thing, but eat a different food.
Yeah, you can try that. I mean, you can also go for a walk. Like, I don't know what gives you that type of endorphin that you're going to get from the food. Can you get that from something else?
Yeah.
It's something to think about.
Yeah.
And then if you want to keep going on cravings, like if you got parasites or fungal infections going on, they will.
Those are real?
Oh, 100%, dude.
That's a real thing?
I guarantee you right now, you have fungus in your body and you have parasites in your body. Everyone does.
That gives me the heebie-jeebies, bro.
But here's the thing. It's not we're nature, dude. Like we are one with nature. There's parasites, there's fungus, there's bacteria, there's all these things. We have a symbiotic relationship with them. Our gut has more cells than the brain does or something like that. It weighs the same about, Like we got, I think, like 5 pounds of bacteria in our gut. We have parasites in there. It's not a bad thing unless they take over. And that can happen if you got poor food, you're eating poor food, not sleeping well, your immune system's trashed, you're dehydrated, drinking a bunch of beer, pop, or what of that. But those parasites, that fungus, they will make you crave things. And it's, excuse my language, it can be a bitch. Like it's a mental thing because you're like, this is not me craving it. This is like, I feel like I'm being not demented, but you know what I'm saying? Like I'm possessed.
Yeah. Like I have to have it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like that midnight snacking type stuff. Is that what you're talking about? Like,
it doesn't have to be midnight snacking. Like if you just go long enough without them, you're not feeding them. They feed off of sugar and more starch and carbs, and then boom, they'll be like, let's send a signal to your brain, buddy. Like I want some of that.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's a crazy thing. Everyone has it. Like I said, it's not a bad thing, but they can cause a lot of stress in the body. So if you do parasites, like if you're waking up in the middle of the night, 2-3 o'clock every day or every night. Itchy bums, grinding your teeth is a big one. Athlete's foot, jock itch, dandruff. Like these are common symptoms. They overlap a lot. And I'm not saying if you do just have like dandruff that it's because you have a fungal infection, but yeah, there is some overlap there.
Wow. Yeah. What's the craziest one you've ever seen as far as parasites?
I passed, probably about a 16-inch worm out of my bum.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah. That freaked me out a little bit. You want to know, here's a crazy story for you though. Big fan of stories. This had to be like 5-6 years ago now. Like I was like going about my day. I was like, I can't see as well. Like I would have to stand if I was like at a restaurant, I have to stand right in front of like the menu up top. I feel like McDonald's or checking out because everything would be blurry. I went to the doctors, got some prescription glasses, started wearing those. I was like, wow, this is like, I can actually see again. I did a intense parasite cleanse and I haven't worn my prescription glasses in 4 or 5 years. I don't even know where they're at. No joke. I have no idea where they're at. Just came across this other study recently too, where they were talking about 100% of MS patients. So people with multiple sclerosis, they had parasites in their, I think it was in their spinal cord or like in that fluid, which is crazy. So like I said, they can do crazy things, but my vision came back. I haven't worn my glasses in forever. So.
That's insane.
Yeah. They'll get anywhere in your body.
Wow. Yeah. I think, man, at the end of the day, dude, I think about like this all from a parenting standpoint and health from a parenting standpoint. And we could continue to go down the rabbit hole on all this stuff that's clogging us up. I'm just going to say clogging us up because
it's a good term.
At the end of the day, I think that's what it feels like is like, I've got stuff inside me that if I made better choices on what I ingested into my body would make a dramatic change in my life. You know what I mean? If I incorporated a clean diet and exercise in all that I do, instead of like doing a dirty bulk and going to the gym and trying to build mass all the time, you know what I mean? Like, cause that's dangerous long-term. You know, I'll probably make it longer, you know,
take out the probably.
Yeah, I will make it longer. Change the narrative there. Because at the end of the day, man, like I want to see my kids through adulthood, you know, and I think every parent wants to see their kids through adulthood. That's important to me. And I hope at some point I can be the grandparent. I went on a trip with my parents, my mom and my stepdad and my wife and my two children at the time, Ari and Jamie. And Jamie, I had to put a backpack and carry him through, but we went up to the Rocky Mountains. And dude, my mom was like trekking. Dude. She's like in her 60s.
Yes.
You know what I mean? And we hiked up to Dream Lake, like in the Rocky Mountain National Park. Yep. And that's about a mile up. You know what I mean? Like,
that's not like an easy hike either.
No, I mean, it's like the air gets thin and you're up there and you're kind of like moving. It's not that it's complicated from like a navigating the mountain standpoint, but it like you get on some inclines that are way up there. There's other grandparents that could not make that journey at 60 plus years old simply because they have not taken care of their bodies. Now, my mom's a big advocate of eating well, and by cause and effect, her husband is as well. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So they were able to like make it up the mountain, and we had that experience with them. I want to have that experience with my grandkids and my kids someday. you know, and I just don't see it as as something that I could do if I don't clean up the way that I eat and clean up the way that I like exercise and what my daily habits are. So how do I do that, Nick? How do I make sure that I can get up to Dream Lake when I'm 60 plus years old?
Dude, great question. So I want to add to that. Parents, at least when I'm working with them, what comes up, they want to be more present. It's tough to be present when you're in pain, when you don't feel healthy, when you're not energized, when you're always fatigued. It's tough to be present. You get irritable, you take it out on your kids. And then you take it out on yourself for taking it out on your kids.
Oh.
And it's like, it becomes this vicious cycle. Like, what do I do? How do I get out of this? So like, we just went down a little rabbit hole on parasites and fungus and all that stuff. I don't ever start there with a client. Like, that is very difficult for individuals because that's a lot of stress on their body when you get rid of that. You have to go back to the basics. What are you putting in your body? Think quality. Like, you can literally hold the food and ask yourself, is this going to nourish me or is this not going to nourish me? That right there gives you a value set. If it's going to nourish you, it's going to move you towards being able to walk up that mountain with your kids on your back.
Yeah.
So you have to start there. Nourishment is like the vital thing. So when I'm working with individuals, I come at it from bringing energy in, bringing nourishment in. So the first aspect is food. Second aspect is, when do people heal? When do people recover? It's when they sleep.
Yeah.
We have to get out of this mindset that we're only sleeping 6 hours a night. Like, that's going to put you in a grave a lot earlier than you ever want. It's going to mess up your blood sugar. It's going to create more inflammation. It's going to mess with your cravings. That's another thing with cravings. You get 6 hours of sleep, you're going to have cravings the following day. You'll be pre-diabetic the following day. So your insulin levels are going to be off. Blood sugar is going to be off. So we have to get back to this aspect of sleeping well. The other aspect is we got to hydrate ourselves. You're in the gym. You ever go in dehydrated?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sure do. I have a cup of coffee and then I start working. I have a cup of coffee and some pre-workout and I start working out. Yeah. That's what I do.
Have you ever gone in hydrated? Do you know the difference? Have you felt the difference?
No, I haven't. I just have never done in the 6 to 8 months that I've been like consistently going to the gym. I have not.
Yeah. So here's my invitation for you. First thing you do in the morning, have yourself 12 to 16 ounces of water. Pure, good quality water. Put a little pinch of sea salt in it. That will get the minerals in the water, especially if you're drinking tap water. I would definitely do that. That drives it into your cells. Your muscles, every aspect of your body needs water. If your muscles are dry, how elastic are they going to be? How quick and explosive are you going to be? How strong are you going to be? You're not going to have the connection. You're not going to have the signaling that's there. We're on electrical signaling. So hydrate yourself. Like, you have to do that.
Yep.
For listeners out there, coffee, it's a diuretic. Caffeine, it's a diuretic. It's going to make you be more dehydrated. What are some of the biggest symptoms that people have? Headaches, fatigue, low energy. Start with water. Like, people make this, excuse my language, I'm going to get vocal here. People make this shit super difficult.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be. Like, start small. You have to be consistent. So if for you, all that is drinking more water, for you or any of the listeners, start there. Let that become a habit. And then go do the next thing. Then maybe start working on sleep. And then maybe start working on nutrition. If you can put your emphasis on those three things, you'll be golden. Like, literally, it can be that simple. But people like shiny things to a large degree. What's the next new cool thing? What's the next supplement? What's the next test I can take? I run labs for people. I'll tell them when they come to me, I don't think you need run labs. Like, we got to focus on this first. So for everyone listening, start small, start basic, keep it easy on yourself. Don't overstress yourself out because you won't stick with it and then you fall off.
Yeah.
Then you beat yourself up. Then you're in the same spot where 6 months
back in the pit, back in the poor diet pit.
Feeling bad about yourself.
Poor me.
Victim mindset.
Yep.
Coming back to that mindset.
Got to kick that guy out, man.
But it's not even about kicking him out. It's knowing that he's there and that he's a part of you.
Yeah.
But he doesn't have to rule your life.
John Church once told me, he was like, "Hey Nick, I keep a bodyguard in my brain because like, and this is like, you know, for anything, you know, for simple thoughts, for cravings, for whatever it is." He was like, "I keep a bodyguard in my brain, dude. Like that like you can't get in unless like that guy says you can get in." And I was like, "That's a powerful thing to have." Like if you truly have a bodyguard in your brain and you're kicking out the victim mindset and the negativity and the cravings for alcohol and like all those things and the sinful thoughts, like you're gonna have a lot cleaner lifestyle.
Yeah, I would agree. I would, just because I'm very anal about language.
Yeah.
The kicking out aspect is like, there's a good and a bad. We all have light and dark sides of us. I would just say he doesn't need to show right now. There's a time and place for him to be there for that individual. But if we can just silence and be like, hey, do you know what? That's not going to support me right now. Cool. Because when you're like, I'm going to kick this person out, he's not serving me, there becomes judgment. Like, why is he showing up? Why is he there? Why am I not doing enough work to get rid of him? Why does he keep showing his face? And it's like, that's the human experience. Like, you're always it doesn't matter who you are. You're always going to have these quote unquote individuals show up in your head. It's like, accept them. Know that they're there. They serve a purpose, but they don't have to rule your life.
Yeah.
So that's how I come about it.
Dude, I'm taking notes on this language. I'm taking notes on this language thing. Nick Kuhle is a really good coach. Oh.
So I'll share something with you.
Yeah.
You ever heard of the term abracadabra?
Yeah.
What's it mean?
I'm about to do some magic.
Yeah.
Right. Just did some magic. What?
Yeah. So abracadabra, it's a Hebrewic, it's Hebrew, and it translates to with my word or with my words I create. So I ask my clients, like, what are you creating with the words that you are using? Your thoughts create your words create your perception.
Oh, that's so
Your
good.
thoughts and words create perception creates your reality. So if you're the person that's like, people are out to get me, I'm the victim, I have a victim mindset. When you go walk the streets, you're going to find a lot of people that are victimizing you. If you walk the streets and you think, hey, people are here to help me out, people are here to serve me, you're going to start noticing the small gestures.
Yeah.
And so that's why I get very anal about language. And I'm not doing this to jump on your case, but like when I'm working with individuals, I want them to see the power of the language, because that will drive a lot of the actions that they struggle to change. So there you go. I love it.
Yeah. There was so I have a really good buddy in my life that he just doesn't use the word hope at all. He never says, I hope. He goes, I will. He goes, just say that.
Yeah.
And watch how much it changes your life.
100%.
And a lot of times when guys come to me and they're like, you know, I really want to get sober, and if I could just stay sober for a year, I feel like I'd be okay. I say, you said if. You gotta say when I stay sober for a year. There's a difference in that, you know. So like, I love what you're saying. Like the like how you talk to yourself is 100% like it's gonna have an effect.
It's Yoda.
Yeah.
What does Yoda say? There is no try, there is only do. Isn't that him? I think so. I'm not a huge Star Wars fan.
Me either. I couldn't tell you if you're right or wrong on that. We're gonna go with yes.
Yes, Yoda said that. Blanket statement. But yeah, that's true though. There is no try, there's only do.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I love it. I love that.
Beautiful.
Dude, the other thing from a fatherhood standpoint, like, as the man of the house, you're supposed to be the leader, right?
Yes.
But if dad is in active addiction to food or whatever it is, what does that do to him? What does that do to his relationship with the kids? And if dad can't get off his butt to go work out, what does that do?
It does nothing positive.
Right.
It's not going to support it. Kids don't learn from what the parents say. The kids learn what the parents do. So they can say all the right things, but they do the opposite. They're going to learn the opposite.
Yeah.
And it's my belief, like, every parent wants to set their kid up for success, wants to be the best family.
You better.
I would hope so, to be the best parent. So like, whether you want to do it for yourself, whether you want to do it for your kids, like, if you don't make the change, here's what I do with clients. I'll have them do this little activity, and it's, where are you going to be at in the next 3 to 5 years if you continue doing the exact same thing? And I will tell them to write it down, because I want them to write it down, because it slows the process down. It gets it out of their head and it's on paper. And I want them to visualize it. Like, what's that look like from an emotional perspective, a financial perspective, a personal perspective, a relationship perspective? Like, how is your life going to be if you stay on the same track? And it's like, cool. Okay, what's that look like if we even change the course by 1% or 1 degree?
A little bit better.
Yeah. And it's if a plane takes off in New York and they're off by 1 degree, they can end up in a different state by their destination, depending on the distance that they're traveling. So that individual, when they're in that deep, dark spot, and you know this well with your story, like it gets kind of dark there and lonely. All you need to know is A, there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You just got to know that there's a glimpse there. And B, like I said, I'm going to say this 100 times, start small. Like it doesn't have to be that person that sits on the couch that feels exhausted. You know, if he just starts having a little bit more water, I can guarantee you he's going to feel better. So that would be my, I guess, take on that.
Yeah, no, I agree. And going back to that everybody says that they'll die for their kids, dude, but that's easy. It really truly is. Hell, I almost did at one point. You know, I to myself, I thought my kids would be better off without me, you know, at one point. And that was a whole bunch of lies I was telling myself. But would you live for your kids? Would you actually get healthy? Would you do what it took to like pick yourself up and start doing the work? Would you? And I think that's the question that I ask all my dad recoveries, right?
What was your one moment of where you like the coin flipped?
Oh man.
Like what was the first domino that started?
When I got sober or when I decided to start working out?
Got sober.
Oh, I was in a really dark spot. I was drunk and it had been like several days and I was like without sleep, right? I was without exercise. I was without a lot of action or communication. And I was just sitting in my head negative for a really long time. And I mean, it was just dark, man. I was in a really dark place. I don't want to get into all the details of it like right now, but I'll just say I was suicidal, dude.
Yeah.
Like I was really at the end of my rope. I thought my wife would be better off without me. I thought my kids would be better off without me. I thought everybody that knew me would just be better off without Nick around. And man, I closed my eyes. I thought it was going to be my last breath, dude. And what I got was something that I had missed in my past. It was the image of my first son being born. And the reason that was so significant is because when Zach was born, when I was 19 years old, I had been taking medication for like ADHD, and like at the end of and it was Adderall, and when you stop, like at the end of your when you come off of that stuff, you're completely depleted. All your endorphins are gone. You can't really feel anything. I'd also been drinking. But I knew at that point, like this is supposed to be like one of the most pivotal points in your life. You're becoming a father for the first time. And I can't feel it, dude. I couldn't feel it.
Numbed out.
Yeah, I was numbed out. And that was, now there's a lot that happened between that point and where I was in this terrible moment on May 18th of 2022. But I thought I was going to take my last breath, dude. And I closed my eyes and I thought it was it. But instead of darkness, I got warmth. Instead of death, I got life. I saw Zach coming into the world, and I saw him take his first breath, and it was like everything that I missed, I got in that moment. And I knew I had something to live for. Like it brought it all back. It was almost like God saved that for me, like knowing what I had missed. He brought it all back in that moment, and I don't know. I don't want to sit here and linger on that, but like it certainly changed everything in that moment. I had to be a good, I'm called to be a father, dude. Like I truly am. And I could go on and on, man. Like I just had my first daughter and my last child for sure. But I just had my first daughter, bro. And like my wife and I struggled with infertility for 4 years. And we could probably talk about how poor health played into that. And it did. I'm sure it did. But we tried everything, like all the fertility treatments and things like that. Even after I gotten sober, it wasn't working. Yeah, expensive stuff. And for years we tried that stuff. And month after month, failures. failures, and the negative tests just kept stacking up and stacking up. And it was hurtful, man. What went from hope turned into emptiness again, you know? And, you know, eventually, I think 6 months after we decided to just give it to God.
That's when it happened.
Dude, I looked at my wife one weekend. We were at church. It was on my 2-year anniversary. We were at church, and they were like, hey, baptisms. We're doing baptisms on June 23rd. And this is in May. So the weekend of May 18th. I think it was actually the 19th was the church service.
Okay.
And I was like, Gabby, I think I need to do this. I'm going to get baptized. She's like, let's go. Do it. You should. I said, my kids need to know that they can find a relationship with God at any point in time, right? No matter how old they are, they can always find a relationship with him and have a renewed relationship with him. And dude, we were about to go on vacation. It was like June 16th. And I had to go in and like film my video for baptism, like my why or whatever. And then on the 23rd, I would get baptized and we'd be back from vacation that Saturday. On June 16th, we found out that we were pregnant. Bro, come on. I told you about the God moment about starting this podcast, right? There's another one right there. Like, oh, you decide you get baptized 30 days later, you're pregnant and giving, like, you now have what you've been wanting. And we prayed for a girl, bro. We prayed for a girl. And the really funny thing was they told us that our due date was February 18th, which is my birthday. And I was like, that's a gift from God. Well, then, like, because my wife had to have a C-section, right? Because Jamie, anyways, long story short, we had to have a C-section. And they were like, you can have the baby on the 12th or the 18th. And she asked me, she was like, what do I do? I said, go for the 18th. Let's do it on my birthday. You know, trying to grab the wheel and steer it, right? Like, I'm going to control this. It's going to be on my birthday, you know? Like God said, it's going to be on my birthday. And then they call her back and they're like, oh, we just booked out on the 18th. You got to do it on the 12th. And I'm like, what the heck? Dude, do the math. May 18th of 2022 to February 12th, 2025.
I was a math teacher. I can't do that in my head, though.
1,000 days.
1,000 days?
1,000 days of sobriety.
Dude, hell yeah, brother.
1,000 days of surrender, commitment, obedience, trust, and getting my life together, if you will.
Yeah. Have you ever heard of Peter Crone?
No.
Dude's like a linguist, very good with his words. He's got a quote. He's like, your life happened the way it did, and it couldn't have happened any other way because it didn't happen any other way. And if you sit with that, that is a very powerful statement. Like you had to experience and you had to go through that because that is the growth that comes from, like, you needed that growth to become who you are today. And that's why I want to share with the people, the listeners, is we all have our own struggles, and understanding that those events, all of your life events are tied together through this like golden thread, and you need to experience those things to become the person that you're meant to become.
Yeah. And
when you have that type of faith or that type of just belief, you can weather the hard stuff and it becomes easier. The other thing I'll add to that is, if we're talking about consciousness, you and I both have consciousness. You can't have with consciousness, you need polarities. So if we don't have up, we don't know what down is. We don't have hot, we don't know what cold is. We don't have all the polarities out there. Just like we can't be happy all the time, like we're gonna have some low moments. And
yin and yang, right?
It's exactly. I use that all the time in my coaching, the yin yang symbol, Tai Chi symbol. You need a balance. You need a marriage between those two. The one projects you forward, the other one, like, you're feeling really good, beautiful. So if there's anything you can take away from this call, just know it gets better. Know you are on the right path. 100% you are on the right path.
Yeah.
Just get out of your own way sometimes.
Yeah.
We make it harder on ourselves.
Yeah. 100%, dude. There's a big, bright future for you here if you look for it, right? If you chase it, if you go for it.
Yeah.
When you go for it. Let's stop saying if, right?
Nice catch. Yeah. I love that. I love that.
Yeah. Yeah. Any other advice you have for our listeners?
I'll give you a piece of advice that I say to myself all the time. I bet on myself. I'm always going to bet on myself. So if I'm going to do something, I can do it. I know that maybe that's through some of the struggles that I have had, but that's what I go back to. Any hard times, I bet on myself. I know that I can do it. And here's the thing. I know all of your listeners can too.
Yeah.
They all have the confidence. They've all gone through shit too.
Yeah.
Like no one has an easy ride. Everyone's got their own struggles and their own triumphs and all that. Bet on yourself. That's what I would say. Just bet on yourself. Know that you are worth it.
Yeah, that's so good, man.
Dude, that's, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's bring light into this place.
Yeah, hell yeah. Let's go. Yep. Cool, man. Yeah. Yeah.
Anything else you want to dive into? Any other rabbit holes or?
I don't know. I think the whole balance thing is really, really important. Having a healthy balance is like one of the most, with anything that you do.
Consistency over perfection every day.
Yeah. It's not about how much you lift or how far you can run. It's about the motion.
That's all ego. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. Dude, I love that, brother.
Yeah. Right on. Well, thanks, Nick.
You bet, brother.
Appreciate you, bro.
Absolutely.
Yep. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, I want to thank you with all my heart. I hope you enjoyed it. And if you did, please leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. It really helps us out. If you have questions about getting sober, parenting, or personal growth, email Nick at domesticdadproject.com with any questions about cleaning up the messes you've made. And if your question is discussion worthy, we'll feature it in an upcoming episode. Don't forget, you can watch any of these videos uncut and unedited, filmed in my studio from our YouTube channel. Just go to YouTube and search for Domestic Dad Project. Also, please follow us on Facebook or share this episode on your social media. You can also join our community by grabbing some merch. It means the world to me to know that this podcast is making a difference in someone's life. And if this episode inspired you to get sober or simply become a better version of yourself, you can claim your free 60-minute coaching session by visiting www.domesticdadproject.com. Let's continue supporting each other to break the stigma around dads reaching out for help, to get our lives on track while navigating the obstacles of fatherhood. Until next time, keep cleaning up the mess.